Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Happy Tag Tuesday. Everyone who reads and must converse is here for another tag. I was tagged by the Book Buds. They're super funny and a great channel. So I'm gonna link them in the description box. And this original tag, the Eclectic Readers Tag, is from Cozy Reader Kelly. So I wasn't following Cozy Reader Kelly. So Kelly, I appreciate you creating this tag, and I can't wait to check out some of your stuff. It's awesome to me how there's always so many in the extended booktube community that, I mean, there's just thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who love books that are all over the place doing book content, talking about what they're reading, and it seemingly doesn't end. I hope it doesn't end anytime soon, let me tell you. I love finding new people. So prompt number one, where do you get your book recommendations? I think like most of the people that watch my content, you know, I mean, we get our book recommendations from the community, BookTube, and I'm also on Instagram community and get book recommendations all the time. I always hear people talking about books, even if they're not, you know, like properly recommending a book, that they're just talking about their experience with the book, and if I like it, then it's on my radar then. And then I have this, you know, checklist, mental checklist. I'm big on going to bookstores, and I do find books sometimes that I don't have any experience with that just look interesting, but most of the time I'm looking for something that, you know, is on this huge list that's in my head. Right. Number two, how do you decide what to read next? So I think it goes hand in hand with being an eclectic reader, that I don't really follow any kind of, I want to read this and then I want to read that and things like that. Making a list, TBRs. I've never really been big on TBRs. Just this year, doing the big book takeover for this year, I've kept it fluid most months on what I was going to read. I knew that I wanted to get to certain things, but didn't know when and how they were going to fit in, and it has changed over the course of the year what books I was going to read. And you know, it's just how it goes. I'm gonna read, you know, like what I want to read. Of course, you know, there's no reason to read something that you don't want to read. So I'm with that. I just kind of call it a mood reader, you know. Number three, how has your reading taste changed over time? They've changed over time and time again, probably by what I read. You know, reading changes you. It's a relationship, you know. And so when I've read, like, say, I was reading a lot of fantasy, sci-fi, literature stuff as well, but I got turned on to the Dune series. It was years and years and years ago that I read the Dune series. But when I read the Dune series, I read the 6 books by Frank Herbert. Then I read the prequel trilogy, that is The Machine Crusade, The Battle of Corin, and The Butlerian Jihad. And then I read the 2 books that finished up Frank Herbert's original storyline. So it was a big reading project. You know, it took me quite a few months to read that. And then when I did it, I was just like on another level reading. And there's certain books that have done that kind of thing, where the book expands my reading comprehension, or the level on which I read and what kind of stuff that I want. It shows me what I want, you know, what I'm looking for more of. So, of course, I love, you know, big, expansive works, epic, big ideas, all that kind of stuff. But also, I can never get away from loving well done characters, plot, things like that. As you know, it just depends on the book, of course. Number 4, what genres or subgenres do you never or usually never read? So I would say, romance. I don't go for romance. I don't go to the mystery section in bookstores a lot of times. I might scan through, see if there's any names or anything that, because you never know in used bookstores where things get placed. But I don't go for, you know, by like histories, nonfiction history, things like that. I don't go for dry, kind of reading, and just reading for facts. I like to read for experience, to try, to experience something new that maybe is out of my personal experience in my life, the kind of life that I live. And so there's just certain things that are part of what I like, and I've never really taken to romance or anything like that. There's plenty of romance or relationships and things like that in a lot of the literary fiction that I read and whatnot. So number 5 through number 9 is what are 5 specific subgenres that you enjoy. Include a recommendation or two for each of them. So, I mean, being an eclectic reader, I mean, anything other than what I've just said that like I don't necessarily gravitate to, I have a bookshelf of, so I kind of married this with the where do you get recommendations, because there's so many that have come from the community, but also different genres. So, Laurent Binet, The Seventh Function of Language. I have not read this, but this was recommended very highly by Mark Nash over at the channel Mark Nash, but also Yasmin at To the Lit House was just telling me how awesome this book is. And Laurent Binet is kind of a experimental fiction, speculative experimental fiction, travel through stories. A great channel just had done a video on Binet's new novel called Civilizations, and it seems really cool too, playing with language, playing with history, story mode, playing with that kind of thing. And Civilizations was kind of an alternate history, and it made me think of another recommendation by Rick Harsh, an awesome channel as well. He runs a small press called Corona Samazdat, and he turned me on to Sesshu Foster's Atomic Aztecs. This is an alternative history, so speculative fiction, right? This is an alternative universe where the Aztec Indians actually go and not only best the conquistadors, but then they set sail for Europe and take over Europe, and they become like a world power. And it goes through your a history of an alternate history of what if the Aztec Indians became a world nuclear power and some of the most powerful culture that was on the face of the planet. And seems really, really cool. So I can't wait to get to that, actually. It's just one of those things. Another, I was turned on to the plays of Luigi Pirandello by Tom at LA Books. And I've actually come into contact with 6 characters in search of an author. Kind of a meta-fiction. I love meta-fiction. And all kinds of, postmodern explorations, literary devices, things like that. So there's another one that I want to get to soon. There's plays. I was reading Borges, another place where you get recommendation, of course, is from books itself. You get recommendations for other books by authors or titles that might crop up in other books, right? And so in Borges is reference to this book that is also very highly recommended by Jack at Rambling Raconteur. This is The Conference of the Birds by Farid Attar. And Penguin Black Spine here. Great edition. I've not read it. This is like a mythology, cultural mythology. I think it's Persian. Yeah. Composed in the 12th century in northeastern Iran. So this is, kind of Persian, Islam, mythology about a flock of birds and their quest. And I can't wait to read it. It comes very highly recommended by some readers that I really, respect what they got to say. That's for sure. I fall in love with authors, and then I get turned on. Then I just go in and find stuff that they, everything that they've written, something like that. So I got William Gaddis, the Rush for Second Place. This is essays and little prose, occasional prose that he had written for different ads or essays, whatever. And some of them are cool. Some of them are, just good to have, but whatever. And Gaddis is an amazing writer. An amazing writer. So I will read everything that Gaddis has written eventually. And he didn't write much, maybe 4 novels, like 4 real novels in his lifetime. I was turned on to this by Waste Mailing List, who is an Instagram, part of the Instagram community over there. He is Australian, and he turned me on to Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet. That is a reissue with the letters to Rilke from the young poet, and that is Franz Xavier Kappas. And so this edition has the original Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet, but also has some context for you by giving you the poem, the letters back to him. This is from Live Right Publishing, and I would never have been turned on to it, or it would have taken me at least longer if I wasn't part of that community over there on Instagram and friends, and just keeping my eyes open, right? So many people have turned me on to Sebald, The Rings of Saturn, that I can't believe I haven't read any Sebald. There is a couple of booktubers that have made content on it recently, none less than Celia. She has, for all intents and purposes, it seems, fallen in love with Sebald. And Sebald has not written very many novels, as far as my knowledge, either. So I can't wait to get to this one. Very atmospheric, dreamlike, beautiful, and perhaps a little harrowing as well. So we'll see. So the recommendations never stop. Explorative fiction as well. And you see, my reading taste is all over the place. So I appreciate being tagged in the Eclectic Reader's Tag. It's right up my alley. And we'll catch you on the next one, BookTube. Bye-bye.